What I'm saying might be reckless, but I meant it when I said it, and I know I might regret it, but it's time I give a lesson.
Hello and welcome to Mini RPG of the Week, number 23. I'm not Nualek. I don't know if you've noticed that one. The most attentive of eyes will have noticed that I am in fact Jota, not Nualek, and alongside me is also not Nualek.
Hi, it's me, Drizzly Bear. You might have seen me a couple of weeks ago casting alongside Nualek. Today, not with us, but we do have a strong casting team in Jota and myself. I'm sure we'll have a lot of really cool and fun driving to show you on the track today. Mini RPG of the Week 23. Interested to see what this one looks like. I've not actually seen much of the track yet, but obviously we'll get to see that when we get into the warm-up section. Jota, are you excited to cast your first Mini RPG of the Week?
I am, and I really like that the mapper's summary. It's quite ominous, isn't it? He says, do you like water bounces, free wheels, grass slide, or even plastic bouncers? So you'll surely find your happiness in this map.
Yeah,
I'm not sure I believe him. It sounds suspiciously like he's ready to cause some people some pain.
Well, you know, it's like a buffet. There's a myriad of things you can choose from, and not all of them you might like. But you know, with enough time spent with it, surely you will satisfy yourself. It's like an outlet store where there's so much, but maybe nothing that you will find substantially satisfying, and maybe you'll get frustrated with having to switch up your skill set and try to hit all these different notes, trying to achieve those good times and survive to the end.
Yeah, certainly what I was thinking. First look at his description was that this sounds like it's going to be one for players with good overall skills and balance, because that is quite a lot of elements to take into one map.
Yeah, you need to be the Mario of driving. You need to be the all-rounder. You can't be like Waluigi spec'd into like special skill or whatever. You need to be good at all these different surfaces and just like the little minutia of the mechanics and things like that. We don't want to spoil too much of what the map has to offer, because obviously we're going to see that when we get over to the drivers themselves. But yeah, ominous, foreboding even. I wonder how many of our players will make it through that first round of eliminations, but obviously we'll get to that when we get to that. But yeah.
Yeah, and then if you've seen as well, he said that the GPS time at 54.7 seconds is a relatively long one as well. So I'm certainly expecting us to have a lot of twists and turns and moments where we think everything is settled and it's not, because there is a lot of space for comebacks from a weak start, you would think.
Yeah, it's something that we see on Mini RPG of the Week frequently enough, and I think maybe something that'll come in clutch here for drivers that has been on show is that those double resets might have such a varied skill set being tested. So that'll be important to see, especially when it's a longer map as well, being able to realize, oh, I've made the mistake, I need to just get back, refresh the hands, just know what you want to do and to take a fresh approach and not bang your head against times trying to make it work the first time.
Yeah, and as we get our first look at this map, it really is a mosaic of surfaces, isn't it? Constant changes.
Yeah, even in that first little turn before the first checkpoint, that is what? Is that plastic onto grass onto... Oh, geez, I'm not even able to keep track of that myself.
Yeah, keep up. Good luck.
Yeah. I'm sure driving these, you get a bit more of a tactile relationship with the map as you go, because you'll feel that response from your car, the tires on the ground, and the changing from the different surfaces to each other, and being able to maintain your momentum around these tight turns and the different slides and, you know, transitions, as we're seeing when we're following here. Wait, Hero Attacks themselves, the driver of the map, not driver of the map, excuse me, the mapper themselves, showing us a little tour of what's possible on the different surfaces. This is the person who, you know, thankfully mapped for us this week, Mini RPG of the Week. Graciously gifted maps by the community, and that's what we need. So if you are a mapper and interested and, you know, maybe inspired by this, give it a go. You could be featured on this. I mean, we really appreciate it, and obviously this is really cool, and it provides that challenge for the community to like get their hands on something like nitty and meaty and awkward like this. And look at that bounce into the finish. Oh my.
Yeah, and you can see that even on his test time, which you would assume for his GPS time he's put good effort into getting a clean run. There are moments which are millimeters away from walls, a couple of lifted tires as well, like landings that were really on the limiter. So you think that if that's what it takes to be getting GPS time, is pushing that close to the walls. And you see a lot of these players on their exploration, they're sliding out wide as well. So I think we're in for a lot of bonks today.
Yeah, for sure. Looking at the leaderboard at the moment. So sometimes there's a little bit of a red herring when coming into watching Mini RPG of the Week, is looking at the leaderboard and seeing who has the best time by the end of the warm-up round. And, you know, that's maybe who you expect to be into the late rounds, which isn't always true. But even in the first, like, 3 minutes or so, we have people kind of, maybe not that close, but getting close to that GPS, that 54.7. We have a 55.9 now, I think, with Vinch. Maybe I'm pronouncing it horribly wrong. But yeah, maybe we'll see it and maybe we won't. It's that consistency. You know yourself. Consistency is king. The variance of all these, as you say, mosaic of surfaces, like wrestling with that is going to be a challenge unto itself, let alone being consistent at it, not just figuring it out the first couple times.
Yeah, and as you say, people starting to get close to GPS, but it's certainly a lot easier to set those times when there's no pressure, and if you bonk it, it's whatever, you know, just click reset, we go again, it's practice. When they get into the actual competition, you know that there's going to be that temptation to lift off slightly earlier to stay further away from the walls, and this map really does have flow to it. There's no, it really does seem that there is not a single point where you can lose time and it doesn't cascade down badly.
Yeah, that is unfortunately, not fortunately, but that is the skill set required of you on this map and on these kind of long form maps in general, right? Losing fractions of seconds multiple times through a run is just like, it's untenable. You can't do that and expect to survive very long. So finding maybe not the fastest route, but like the most consistent, the safest way, and even where like maybe you can break out that little bit of risky driving to pull up and get a few places back maybe. Again, time not necessarily the factor you're most worried about, but it's that car in front of you, it's that car behind you. Can you stay ahead of that one behind you, and can you stay with the pack long enough to be even crowned king or queen or even the winner of the week? It's hard to know. You just need to be relatively fast. So hitting that GPS time is not necessarily your goal, although for those who have that dog in them, who have that drive to be great drivers, find the line, it might lead you astray. It might be that dog inside you is chasing a car down the road, and you need to temper that, right? We're looking here on this around the corner, the transfer, and getting the angle right, like you were saying, tires off the ground, you don't want that, obviously. And even the first little bit of driving you have to do for that first checkpoint, that little angle down, make sure your tires are all connected with the ground so you get that traction for your turning. Jeez.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'd want to be driving this one, that's all I'm saying.
It really does seem like it's a lot of opportunity to go wrong, and unfortunately for Lucker's Turbo, they somewhat demonstrated to us another feature as well, with basically missing the finish 3 different angles in back-to-back runs on it. That bounce block at the end is by no means a free finish. There's lots of opportunity. They managed, as we've been seeing people, they've pulled long on it, they've pulled short on it, they've gone too low, they've even hit a singular tree. I think someone managed to hit the tree and not finish. So,
Oh, wow.
after negotiating all of this, not getting too many bad landings, you're still going to need the composure to finish, because it could all be thrown away right at the very end.
Yeah, I'm going to look out for that actually, if we can get through a run here with a car. That ending does look like it's tricky, because it might not be what you expect coming into it. You might think it's more lenient than it is, and that's always a problem, right? Some of our tracks, you'll see that there's like a risky fin, and it claims more lives than maybe it should, because people are obviously trying to stay with the pack. But just here, just having the finish line with that bounce is just like, it just looks so daunting. Like at the end of your trials and tribulations, navigating all these transfers we're following this year, just like the different and the little ramp up here, and maintaining speed and getting around the tight corner and the bounce and transfer onto the dirt and all of
you
this.
See
and
how much time he gained there with one landing on the person next to him. The other person clipped the hump and he's just gone.
And I suppose that shows both sides of the coin, right? Oh, and even there, it's just every little thing counts, right? It's I'm just stupefied. Oh my.
There's certainly 1,000 ways to end up in trouble.
Yeah. What would it be like that Hasbro? It's not Hasbro. Is it a Hasbro game? Mousetrap? I don't know if you remember that. Never had it. Always saw it on the television, and to this day, maybe this is how I finally fulfilled that childhood dream. Just watching all these people fall to these jigsaw traps of little corners and little transfers, the different terrains as well. I'm still, I think, overwhelmed by the amount that is visually on screen and how much it's changing. Maybe glad to be in the commentator's seat rather than behind the sticks today. But yeah, okay, here with BMX 22, again, like you said, just those nice landings, giving them little bits of time, but then the line there, keeping it wide enough to cut back in closer so that they can keep that time ahead of the person that was behind them. That little right angle, I don't know,
We've seen
turn.
that get 3 or 4 people on that one dirt landing.
Yeah. Especially because I think the section before it kind of begs you to drive it fast to kind of maintain that lead over other drivers, and then you're falling prey to maybe that promise of keeping that position without the, I suppose, guarantee that you will be safe. It's just like you said, every little moment of this track has a little skill check or a little, I don't know, I'm excited to see the actual rounds take place. We have like maybe 5 minutes left of warm-up. We're seeing times well below the GPS now, actually, if you're keeping up with it. Zera on the right-hand side, 52.5.
Yeah, I think that really is just testament to how much time people can pull back after one of these mistakes. That you think there aren't going to be too many clean runs, but some of these players are setting massively fast times. You think that there's potential. There's definitely a lot of comeback potential in this map through both just really clean landings and other people making mistakes. So that is the flip side of the coin, right? There's danger everywhere, but there's danger everywhere for everyone else as well. We'll see, can Orion manage the dirt bounce? He also boxed on that one. We seem to have created a curse of whoever gets spectated has disasters on that corner. So hopefully that curse doesn't transition through into the actual cup itself. But yeah, I mean, people setting handful of 52s and 53s as well. You don't expect many of those to come in the actual cup itself, but it's important to know that the players have that up their sleeves for if they get into a risky position, whatever, they go full send. There's definitely a lot of time to be found.
Yeah, that's exactly it, right? It's the push and pull, the risk reward of going for these tighter lines, the variance within your angle, the small little, maybe irreplicable, difficult to recreate is what I'm trying to say here. Let's see if Black Pulse can manage this turn. Wonderfully taken. Okay, I think the deployer, the curse has been lifted. We spoke its name, and it has dissipated into ether. Thank you, Jota, for speaking that into existence. Now the drivers may drive fearlessly around that corner, and we'll see if we can take this bounce. Creative. That count? Did that finish properly with Black Pulse there?
He did get across the line for it, I believe, but it's interesting that before we commented that you could miss that long, or miss that short, or miss that low, or hit a tree. We actually missed going over the top. I didn't know you could, but that is a strong suggestion that you can actually go too high on that jump as well. So literally missable on the finish from every angle. And it's weird because it's not like risky fin difficulty, but it's hardly a safe finish either.
It's this awful middle ground, this centrism of finishes that just refuses to be nice to either side, despite wanting to appear mild-mannered, maybe. But yeah, just the, you know, do you remember on old YouTube there were those old, like, really crudely animated things of like 1,000 ways to die? It just seems like that video has been reincarnated, or maybe even exemplified by this map. There's just all these small, like death by 100 cuts, 1,000 cuts, and even just at the end, there's like 20 different ways you can miss the fin, let alone finish it slowly, you know?
Yeah, you do feel that, although most people aren't setting times in the 54s, that probably means that, not that they're not capable, but just that they haven't got that clean everything run together yet. You feel that a lot of these players will have that potential of getting that really fast time. It's just, you know, like, it might take them 100 tries to finally get the one where everything falls into place. But we saw Zera shaving another 6/10 off of it in the 51s now.
Wow. Yeah, we're following them along. Let's see if they can show us what they got. What's the little spice, little tech that they have managed to draw out of these 10 minutes, these 13 minutes so far? And let's see if they can refine it even further, because, like, what is it? That's nearly 3 seconds over the GPS that, you know, I wouldn't have... Oh, that clean line over that bar, that is incredible. Oh my, sorry, I'm just taking this in for a moment. And let's see how they handle it. That is just stunning.
I think that's where he gains about half a second at least on its own. He's taking a lot of the curves out really wide. Same with that dirt landing. He took it really wide, just basically grazing up against the wall. And then that's another thing to note, the finish. Although you risk finishing short, the closer, the shorter the bounce you go, the faster your time is. So I think that the optimal way through the finish line is basically what we saw him taking there, grazing the near wall through. I think if you go for the middle, you're taking much longer air time, and it's going to slow you down. So that's an extra bit of poison thrown in there. That if you want to try and get a couple tenths at the finish, then you have to play it close to the wall.
Physics is a cruel mistress, and she cares not for what you think about her. She is what she is, and she will be forever. And the truth of the matter is that, you know, an acute angle will get you to that finish line faster than an obtuse angle. You just need to go for that if you want, like you say, you want to save those tenths at the end. And that's what this is all about. I mean, like, a tenth separates one driver from another, and then one qualifies, one doesn't. One wins the week, one doesn't. And that's what makes all of this up. Each second is made up of tenths of seconds. And just seeing now, Flo taking that corner a little too zealously, maybe. You can try to pre-steer as much as you like, but you can still bonk and lose time. Okay, we're getting into the first round. No eliminations, so nobody try to guess how many people will be eliminated this round. But let's see what we can expect from the first real round of this.
I'm fully expecting.
Have to finish, okay.
In this practice round, because everyone's just going to be full sending to see if they can get a good time on the board. And I'm assuming a lot of people are going to be DNFing some bonks here.
Yeah. Oh wow. I think we've maybe hit like the the elimination quota for a typical round of like 4 for our first couple before we cut down to 2 when we get later on.
And that's before we have the horrible turn there that's going to take some casualties all night long.
Yeah. And I suppose maybe something that people have been distracted from while driving this. Okay, we get a nice finish from Marius there. I think Marius is one of our typically expected to do decently well drivers. I think a teammate of our caster from last week. We are seeing people finish into the 30s, into the 50s even, in terms of position, but the times are maybe not gracing that 52-second mark that we were gawking at at the end of that warm-up round. Even there, Argicus just bonking that tire. It's nightmarish stuff.
It shows a very different mindset to me. give me a warm-up round, one bonk and I'm done. Warm-up round over. Like, he has also confirmed for us that you can miss the finish high.
Yeah. We've seen that yet again. And let's see just get the jitters out, that warm-up round and the first no elimination round. Finishing through, Yorsh. Yorsh was struggling last week, but managed to hold on by threads through multiple rounds. And let's see, how many, Jota? How many are gone out? You're saying more than half? Well, put a number on it. 20?
Never go that high. Never go that high. I'm scared though. I'm feeling like quite a lot.
I'm gonna say 14. No, I'm gonna say 10. A nice even number 10. Okay, so we're on board with, what are we on board with? We're Nigel, or Emil Gamber. Oh my. Got way at the back here. But as we've said, there are so many places that people can get caught up that being this far behind at the start is maybe not your death knell, because there are so many places like that nasty turn in the middle that can just absolutely end your run. But like you mentioned earlier, it seems like there's a lot of struggle. A lot of people on this struggle bus right now. Oh, and the speed of the transfer, we didn't see a lot of that in the warm-up, but obviously still a factor in driving this first checkpoint.
Yeah, in case all of the bunkers weren't enough, there are, of course, a bunch of speed checks. As with any map with lots of jumps, there are always lots of times to get speed checked. But we do see, I think it has to be noted, that Zerar, he took the fastest time in practice, which normally, okay, that's, yeah, right, okay, sure, they're going to win, whatever. It never happens. But he did in the last round come top two again this round. So back-to-back top twos and the fastest time. He has to be on our radar as one of the ones to watch.
Absolutely. I think that is a good way to, I think, understand what to expect, but also not a guarantee. I think the one thing that needs to be looked at here is that these drivers just need to finish within the time limit, and it seems like a few people, although surviving past that elimination boundary on a typical day, have fallen to not finishing at all in time. 8-2 off, that's not quite the usual curse of the Nua Lake channel, but I think that's because there's two of us that are not him today rather than just one co-caster, so doubled our margin of error there, folks. Apologies. Okay, so let's see. We did have a bunch of people eliminated. I don't know that we had many DNFs. I think people do have that fight in them to survive. So at the back of the pack now we have Gold TM, Trackmania, of course. Shoutouts to Astronautum, fan favorite meme of the channel. It seems like there's quite a gap between this pack at the back and this section is where you'd expect that time to be caught up. Like we saw Zerar really power through this section, you know, before these little bits of the, what do we have, the booster, the no steer, and then into the turn off the water. Landing is just, it's all so cantankerous. But taking that corner well is what puts you in front, and Nigel maybe escaping elimination. Hopefully if they can carry that through to the end, they'll be able to carry that out, but Phoenixo is maybe struggling a little bit more. But they take the corner well, and they're moving into the later section of the track. Let's see if they can get that up and around. Oh, and Parker BBQ's just ahead of them. And do they get the transfer? They do. They get the speed, and they're onto the finish. Can they make it? And
cleanly
they make it!
I think there was one in the water at the time that they got across the line. That is brutally close.
Sniping is a key skill in this. Being that person who makes it in this case 53rd, and then the next round maybe 49th, if you just iterate that to the end, you win the week. If you snipe it every time, that's a skill in and of itself. But you also can't just expect to use that, you know. You're not going to be in the position to be able to snipe every time. A good driver isn't just lucky when it comes to remembering the right path that they've formulated for themselves over these warm-up rounds, but being able to execute it the same way every time like variance, those little differences in how your thumb or your fingers contact your controller. It's all to play for, you know. Brinken overtaking, escaping that back little cache of players and taking that corner. Well, let's see if they can maintain this goal we were with earlier in the round, and let's see if they can maintain that around the corner. Mange-moi le bolet. Let's see. They make it around the corner, not so tricky, but they were losing time earlier. Let's see if they can catch up in this latter section. Like you were saying, tenths of seconds can be found at that finish line, but that high transfer onto the ramp and then onto the other, you're just not, it's not what you want to see. But they're well clear of elimination. Let's see if Lynn's Key can find that one place, that two place. Maybe it's a little too late. And it is unfortunate for our black squadron of players. Fred Wolf 0811. Rest in peace for this week, but we will see you again next week. Wow, this is Anix as well. Anix was setting one of the better times. You can see them there at 6th, has been eliminated. So like we were saying, good times don't necessarily translate to good RPG play.
Well, Vinch was 11th overall for records on the track. He got eliminated the round before that even. So round 2 for him. We've already lost 2 people who set strong author times. Just down to big mistakes. But I mean, we saw some people surviving last round with messy runs, but getting it together. And it's the problem with that is that you don't end the round happy. You end the round thinking, oh, I do not like this track, this is not going well. And then you have to try and like clean slate again for the next round, not let it get to you. And it's definitely very easy if you have won a messy round to be so conscious of all the risks the next time round. As we see someone bumped hard on the dirt corner. I don't know, did not catch which name, but you saw them lose 15-20 spaces in a second.
I mean, that's just the nature of the beast, isn't it? When you're talking about all those pieces coming together and just making the messy run work and just finishing the messy run, it's like your projects in college. You just hit the deadline. It's like when you're making an omelet, sometimes you are having scrambled eggs for dinner, and that's just how it goes sometimes. But scrambled eggs or omelet, you're still eating, and
wait,
eating is what is important
out
here. Oh wow.
He's the only person other than Zerar to set a time in the 51 seconds, the second fastest time of anyone on this track. And he has a disaster this early. We won't even see him in the top 40.
And that just reiterates the point once again. Hundreds and hundreds of little micro situations that you find yourself wrestling with from moment to moment. These change up of skills, these water bounces, these slides, all these like, it's a lot to keep track of, and I'm sure that's what's separating the more consistent drivers from the back of the pack. But it's also what separates those within the pack. So Parker, BBQ, and Brinken and all those will be fighting over these little inconsistencies in each other's play and trying to outplay each other in just the right moment to take them over. So Tomote taking that corner really well, but losing speed out of it. But maybe they can find some nice lines. Okay, we reset back here with Jungle Core, and hopefully that they can make that small transfer and keep the speed. And here, this ramp, this little transfer, this little 90-degree turn, keep your speed into this risky, not risky fin, but the fin at all. I just feel so inclined to call it a risky fin. You know?
It definitely feels like a risk, and Parker BBQ, we saw him scrape through in the first knockout round. He won't scrape through this time, going out in 45th. But another name that I noticed is one that we've mentioned before, Lucas Turbo. We mentioned him in the warm-up because he was the one who showed us how to miss the finish in nearly every direction. That time he brought home the best time of anyone with a 52 in that round. So he has clearly got the hang of those finishes now. We're on board with Varbers, and they've had a nightmare start immediately on the back foot for them.
I was going to call attention to another driver while we were with Varbus before that first little bonk. There was someone who just completely sky-high'd it off the first turn transfer down off the ramp, but it might have been Nalax actually, but they seem to have caught up, and they're just trying to nip at the heels of this pack. They're taking this little turn. Let's see how Kiraj takes the turn now. They can get the speed and the momentum to keep speed around the corner. They do, but can they find their way up and around the ramp? and across that last section to the fin. Nigel is maybe going to make it. I think they've just undertaken someone. And they've qualified. They've just beaten Luce's out at the corner. They've pipped them at the post. And that'll be qualifications for this round.
Yeah, and that's textbook what we were saying, right? This your run isn't too comfortable, you get messy, but as long as you can get back into your groove, get through to the finish without any secondary major disasters, it can be enough to get you through. Varbers did not find that the case. I don't know what happened for them, but it seems that after their initial peril, things did not get much better.
Absolutely. That is like a dog's dinner is still a dinner, but like you maybe not find the nutrition you want in it. CDGG nipping at the heels of the pack, but you're seeing now, and we saw it at the end of last round, that all the drivers are now finishing well within just the basic qualification time. And that's kind of a testament to how, like, as you go on, and it's necessarily how the format's built, the better drivers last longer, but also as they drive, they get to practice it. They've driven it one more time each round of eliminations. Now, what also you need to keep in mind is that the stress is compounding as you go, and you're getting more tired. Maybe you're able to execute this map 20 times, but can you do it 25 times? Can you do it enough times that you stay alive? And Alex has shown us that maybe that practice isn't enough to surmount the pressure that builds each time you get closer and closer to that elimination win. Let's see if anyone can snipe anyone at the post here, and no, I think we are locked in for this round as well. Nalax at that last turn, the ramp up, the ramp down to the transfer into that little bounce, just wasn't working for them. They couldn't get the speed up, they couldn't get the speed down.
I'm pretty certain that all 5 eliminated, and Orion, who came just one place above that I think they all had issues on that big dirt slide landing. I'm pretty sure they all bonked on that one and fell back then, and it does feel that that's sort of like the last big disaster point, right? So we see a lot of people falling off and back in the pack here, and often they can make it through with a good dirt corner. But when they start to have problems there isn't too much track left to catch it up, and we're getting to the point where everyone's starting to dial in their finishes too, so pipping at the line is getting less likely.
Yeah. Having this be our gatekeeper of the track maybe is fitting, right? And even that bonk there from Nigel. Nigel has found themselves on that brink of elimination a couple of times now. We see Vevolution taking that corner well. But another thing that I think to note was that Nalax took the corner well the last time, but maybe got complacent in taking this, this big ramp at the end before our bounce, and just transferring the weight of the car a little too early and bonking into the down ramp as they're coming on the up ramp. Let's see if
I think it's tempting to do, right, if you're in trouble, Like, you see these players at the back who know they're in trouble just think, like, the only way we're going to get through here is if we have a monster turnaround up there, and the more you try and chase the perfect turn, the more likely you are to have a complete disaster.
I think as well, it's maybe a more innate thing than you think as well. You want to go faster, so you want to execute the moves that'll get you there faster. So you turn the corner faster, thinking that it'll contract time for you, so that you'll actually make that corner before it's even physically possible. So
I've tried it doesn't work.
Every Trackmania player has one wish from a genie, and it's to be able to go faster. Oh my. Battle 6-6 here, coming around off that into the bounce, and let's see. This is where they make or break their play, right? We've seen it before. They take the corner poorly. Maybe that seals their fate, but it might not be the end of the story. We have Jeremezer coming up on their heels. I'm just too tense.
It's a bad landing. They might get checked over it. Evolution gets over as well. CGG surely too far back to... Yep. CGG definitely too far back to make it now. Looks like Jeremezer is going to be the one to fall, and once again it's becoming more and more where every gatekeeper element the players are starting to dial them in, which is making each mistake so much more costly.
Oh yeah, big time, big time, big time. And it's also like what you were pointing out, I think maybe at the very start, was that there are some bits that are very punishing, but the poison is in that little finish where the difference is made. You know, there's big time to save, I suppose, in just like executing the macro portions of it well. But I think as we get further and further into the rounds, we'll see those micro adaptations take effect, and players be differentiated by those as well. We're on board with Nitralis here, transferring downwards. Ooh, maybe a little too much airtime. They could have gone a little faster there. And they transfer well onto that part of this, the road and onto the pipe. And onto the reactor section here. And this is where maybe they'll make themselves a legend. Oh, they take it well, and they overtake Yogg. We're back on board with Nitralis here. Yogg and Nitralis fighting for their lives here, nipping at each other's heels, but who can take this corner a little better than the other? And I think Yogg has landed a little better, and they take the corner a little too wide. I think Nitralis has made it ahead of them. But they're both qualified, so they're both safe. Nigel, unfortunately, we were with them for the first couple of rounds. Half the lobby gone. They made it into the top 50%, so I don't think that's a bad showing from them, considering where they were to begin with. But unfortunately, their RPG run ends here this week.
Yeah, Nigel survived a lot of close rounds, but this was one close round too many. There's only so many times you can push your luck before you end up in trouble, but that time we really did get to see the perfect example of someone just behind the pack, a slightly rough start, recovered entirely on that dirt slide, because there's more than just landing it and not hitting the wall at play there. There's a lot of time to be gained just by getting a good slide versus an uncomfortable slide. There's so much time to be lost even on a slightly too tight line through there.
Yeah, not getting complacent and not just making sure that you make and execute the skill test, but executing it well is what makes a good driver, right? If you want to win, you want to win convincingly. And putting yourself at the head of the pack, giving yourself that buffer of like a dozen drivers is going to benefit you way more. Yogg finding themselves, and Nitralis again, unfortunately bumping and getting taken over by Orion at this last little turn. We have the little transfer and the changing of momentum into the back. LDG flow. Oh, and they do, I think they do nip it over Hazarul. Yeah, we have them finishing. Yorsh finishing. Orion, I think, is finished as well. And that'll be us locked in for this round.
Yeah, Orion fell at the dirt slide. Unfortunate for him. You saw him coming out of that section very slowly. I don't know if he bugged the landing or what he did, whether he had to reset, but he was coming out of there very slowly. Yogg fell off the back of the pack right out the first two corners, got a perfect slide to come back and locks his place into top 17. Things continue heating up, but I mean, hats off. I don't think we've even mentioned Marius once, basically, and he's just been like, the reason we haven't mentioned him because he's never been anywhere near the trouble. He has sat in the middle to front of this pack, just coming fifth every single round. So that is one of my other names I have to lean to, as well as there are for those players who you can trust to deliver on this map.
As well, now that we're seeing it come down to these like top 17 players, this is the best our lobby has to offer. This is like top 16. You'd see this in any kind of elimination style tournament setting. These are strong players, and they're fighting out for these tenths of seconds that we talked about earlier. And Yorshmi Volece is not. They are not meeting the standard. They're not cutting the mustard right now. They need to make these tight turns, but not force it. They're not going to make the speed to make that corner. And Tomote has absolutely taken them over, but can they pip it at the die? Oh, they might have done it at the death. And I think Yogg is falling short of the line. I think Tomote must have done it. Is that Tomote or Tomote? I feel like saying tomato or something along those lines.
Tomote, tomato. Yeah, I mean, That was we nearly got the valiant run from Yog again, right? Because at the first couple corners, he was in dead last again. I don't know what it was with that first section of the track. It seemed to be his nemesis because great dirt turns were enough to save him earlier, but at that point, they could only lift him up from 17th to 14th and still knocked out. But it is interesting to see there are clearly some players who are much stronger in some sections of the track than the other.
Yeah, but that means that it's not determined until like the very end, right? Because you might think, oh, I'm safe, I'm safe, I'm safe. And again, I'm talking about complacency and consistency, and it's just so... It's so much a mental game as much as it is a driving game. Such is true of all esports, right? Of all sports. And again, Lucker's Turbo, as you were saying earlier, I think a beloved content creator of the Trackmania scene, great driver, finding themselves struggling to keep on board. Black Pulse, a mapper for the community and also a great driver. Tomote, we've seen them time and time again. As we've been saying, this corner is what will determine how well they can make it back in the back half of the corner. Maybe they've taken it too tight. Oh, but they don't take enough speed out of that corner, and they don't think they're going to be able to make this last little rotation onto the transfer before they finish. But maybe if other drivers take a little... No, I think it's a little too late for our... Oh, maybe I was talking absolute round
from nowhere. We did not see what happened for Jura Jojo, but something happened for him somewhere. I can only assume, because it wasn't on our screen, that he must have been significantly far ahead and had to reset, because if it was a mistake right in front of us, we definitely would have seen it. So you would expect
yes,
that means that he was
very astute commentators and would have seen it, no doubt. My eyes are not deceiving me. It very well may have been that they fell short, or they did one of those fails that we were talking about that was just like they might have failed off the top, which would have been completely imperceptible to us beforehand. We're nearly at our top 10. Jada, this is coming down to the wire. 2 eliminations per round, as we have been for the last few, but now it's just like one position is 10% of the lobby, you know, or 9.9 repeating. Gold, and who else is fighting at the back? Oh, we have some lovely lines and transfers now. Everyone seems to be taking lines cleanly and lovely. Okay, Valur was desynced out of their gourd. Black Pulse finding themselves at the back over the reactor section. Again, let's see. What does our litmus test tell us? Maybe we're taking that a little too wide, but maybe we're taking it wide enough that we can take the corner in tightly. Oh, it's just...
Some of the time, is it going to be enough? This is looking like a close one. They're going to need to be perfect up here.
Oh.
Takes it a little bit high. It's going to be difficult. They're going to need a mistake from someone else. Does anyone bottle the landing? It looks like everyone makes the fin fine. And that will be goodbye to Black Pulse and Tomato, who is not called Tomato, but we are going to call them Tomato to send them off. I'm sorry, Tomato. It was too tempting. We get ourselves now into the top 9, the business end of things, and there are still some names here we have barely found ourselves saying at all, who've spent the whole time away from the back of the field, but some of them are going to have to start falling soon.
Speaking of which, Flo, who had found themselves earlier in the rounds on the edge of elimination, has made themselves, or they've adapted to the situation, they've found themselves, rather, in the top 10. Lucker's Turbo again finding themselves at the back. Maybe they can find this section and find those seconds to make up in the back half. If this is going to be the round where they make it, they need to make it count right now. They get okay speed. They're nearly nipping at Valur's heels, but I don't think Valur's heels are what they want to be at. They want to be another place ahead.
Oh, it's a good turn.
And they both
still
take that
not
turn
enough, though.
The quality is just too high, people. I don't think this is a I suppose a critique of their skills, but rather a testament to how good the other drivers have been. Even just now, Valur Depork has come onto our screens, and it might be the first and last time we mention their name today. Because it's all about winners at the end of the day, and their names are those that end up in the history books and maybe crowned winner of Mini RPG of the Week 23. Let's see who finishes it out, makes it into those single elimination rounds. BMX 22C is one we see often at the front of these packs. taking the corner, taking the landing on the water bounce well, transferring onto the dirt, and then into the... Is that plastic I'm seeing? Is that dirt I'm seeing? Is that tarmac I'm seeing? There's just so much to keep track of. A little bit of grass, a little bit of tarmac, and a little bit of plastic pipe again, and then they go over to the reactor. And we all know what's coming up, folks. We've been harping on it over and over again. We're not going to lay too heavy on it now. Oh, I'm kidding. Corzo makes the lovely inside line, but oh, they just don't have enough speed coming out of that corner, and I think that might cost them everything. BMX and Flo just about keeping them out of that top place contention, but maybe I'm spiking too soon. Flo and BMX just pipping them at the post. Corzo cannot find that. We need a reset. Need a reset. And they still can't find it. Flo resets just that little bit earlier, and they had that facility because they gave themselves the time beforehand by driving that little bit faster.
Flo right now cannot believe the position that he finds himself in, to have missed that finish from just clear one space above elimination to miss the finish and still make it through.
Jota, I thought they were going to ban gambling from Twitch. What is going on here? Okay, BMX finding themselves in 5th place. That is not where you want to be. And the 4 cars ahead of them seem to be maintaining that little... Oh, I speak too soon. We have cursed Flo. Rest in peace, our people's champion. You tried valiantly. Not to say that you can't make it up at the end, but I think with the quality of player and the consistency they've shown, like we were saying, they've not been speaking their names because they've not been contending for elimination yet. But maybe Flo can find it on BMX. They were the other person who finished at the death just before them earlier, but it's Gold! Gold, another name that I think maybe we saw at the start. It's this little transfer. Maybe Flo will take it too high. That'll be enough. Oh, but everyone's taking the line so cleanly. Just enough height to get over and transfer.
Properly this time. No bottle incoming. Oh! He's done it again! It's happened 2 rounds in a row after so many consistent rounds getting through fine. Suddenly he loses the ability to do the finish. 2 rounds back to back. The first, he gets away with it, but the second, you will not get so fortunate. He is punished for that one. Put under pressure and he pays the price. It looked like Gold TM had thrown it all away on the dirt slide, but he will be the one thankful to still be in. Can he capitalize? Can he make top 3? Or is that 4th space the one with his name on it? Currently it's BMX at the back, but we've seen this before. It didn't stop him last time. Will it stop him again here now?
Quite literally, Flo was handed that last round qualification on a gold platter, but bottled it at the end, the death, and now Gold fighting for their life at this corner. This is where we know it comes down to, and BMX is taking it a little wide, but they're still keeping ahead, and they have enough speed to keep ahead of them coming into this little transfer onto the plastic before the little ramp, and Gold seems to have their fire seems to be dwindling in the wind. I think this is just a nice calm finish for the top 3 that we'll be having tonight in Marius across 17 and BMX 22C. Maybe names we might have expected. Maybe one of our winners tonight among them. Let's see who it is. Top 3, Jota. Who's your money on?
I've got to gamble in the direction of Marius. He feels like the consistent safe choice. BMX seems to be struggling out the first quarter or so each time, so it feels that he's going to be playing catch up, and he is again. You see already 3 car lengths back or so. He's got to wait for someone else to make a mistake. He does actually get a very good water bounce, though. He is still in contention, nipping at the heels of Marius. These 3 have been very consistent in the back quarter of the track as well, so it would take a miracle for that to decide it. You think coming into this, BMX is going to need a couple of huge landings. He gets the first, coming into the big drift. Marius lands it well. BMX lands it better, though. The slide out, so much speed. They are going to be neck and neck going up to this jump. Who can take it clean? And Marius takes it almost perfectly. He pips him back. Who's going to get it to the line?
This is so
close. We still don't know who's got it. Marius.
Is that 3/10?
5 thousandths of a second.
The pixelation absolutely threw me.
comes down entirely to whose car chose which angle practically. The finish could not have been closer. BMX will feel robbed of that one, but Marius survives. The question is, will we continue to see the theme of the player who scrapes through, gets fortunate, then gets screwed over in the next round? Is this a Crows to win? It certainly does not look like it after that bonk, Marius. The title is wide open for him now.
I don't think they're going to be able to recover from that, save for a disastrous turn after this reactor and then water transition around that large corner. It's where Marius lost time the last time, having beaten BMX at the earlier half of the track, but I don't know that there's enough in it at this stage. I think Crows, I had my money on them, having seen that last round. They were car lengths ahead of Marius, but in the latter half, they both were being caught up on. And I just think it's done. I think it's locked. I think Marius, if they make this finish, is your mini RPG of the week 23 winner. You picked a good horse in this race, Jota.
Of calling that too early for a second.
Yeah, I was.
The sudden moment you wanted to call it, and then you remembered that the ending point is just a little bit dangerous, and
hence, I tell you. I couldn't have called that. I couldn't have called that 1 round ago, as you could tell. Couldn't tell that 10 seconds before the finish line. That was a tricky one, but you picked a great horse. I mean, discourse aside, that was a great bet you put down, and I think that was a great showing from our drivers. A lot of the skills that I suppose HeroTax was asking for on this track absolutely answered, and I think it made for a great watch. I think it made for some great driving. I enjoyed it. I was completely lost a lot of the time. But just from sheer amazement that these drivers were able to bring to the table what they did and then fight tooth and nail to the very end. You don't get a lot of those 0.005 of a second interactions or those little... There was no visual tell as to who was going to win. You just had to look at the number and pray that the game didn't lie.
That ending really was a gift to us, and a huge gift to Marius as well. I'm sure BMX won't be so amused of it, but of course that basically decided the title in the end. Acros with the bonk in the finish means that, I mean, had that gone the other way, if that was BMX in his shoes, we could easily be saying BMX champion of Cup 23, but instead it is not his name up in lights in the gold position. And you know what, that's what we're here for. We're here for those moments, and the game really saved them up till we got down right to the final 3 to give us some top suspense. And again, thank you, Flo, for your great sacrifice you took to aid of content ahead of finishing.
The RPG giveth and the RPG taketh away, and what it gave to Flo, it instantly took away. And same for was it Marius and BMX at that finish, or was it the round before? Was it Gold and BMX? I can't even remember at this point.
They all had fights between them. There were so many back to back. It's hard to tell.
Yeah, and at the end, it was a matter of like drivers who were better at the different sections. We were seeing in that second last round that Acros was finding themselves way far ahead in the first couple sections, the first couple checkpoints. But when it came to that dirt, slide and the transition onto the last section before that bounce, they were a little weaker. There was maybe some gaps in the armor that Marius was able to capitalize on well. That makes all the difference. That is what makes someone a comprehensive driver, right? And at the end of the day, it is that person who we said checks all the boxes, is that good overall driver. And so this week, Marius makes your champion, but maybe next week it's someone else. It could be BMX, it could be Acros 17, it could be you. If you're interested in getting into the Mini RPG of the Week, find it on Twitter. If you want a map for Mini RPG of the Week, contact Nualaic on Twitter, or get in touch with the Mini RPG of the Week, MROTW on Twitter, or find the hashtag if you are inclined. Any last words, Jota? Do you have anything else to say or to send us on our way with? Do you want to shout yourself out? What do you do? Tell us about yourself.
I firstly wanted to give a little shout out to ZerRTM, of course. Did not finish in the high places, but he set our record time of the day. So shout out to him for that one. As for myself, I stream on Twitch a lot over at Jota Stream Stuff. I'm on Twitter at Jota Tweet Stuff. You can probably find all my other socials by noticing a slight theme in the naming there. I play a lot of Rocket League, play a decent amount of Trackmania as well. And yeah, it's been an absolute pleasure to be on it. And of course, thank you so much to our mapper, Hero Tax, for the spectacle that was put on today. Because of course, without a mapper like him providing us this, we would not have had the action that we got.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for being on, Jota. Maybe we'll have you on again sooner than you think. If you will have us, or we will probably have you again. Thank you very much, Newell Lake, for giving us the opportunity to commentate for you today. Thank you very much, Deployer, behind the scenes, always making sure this ship runs tight. Thank you, Jota, for being with us. Thank you to me. I'm some person. I'm some who am I kidding? Follow me on social media. My name is Drizzly Bear on Twitter, and I also have a Twitch account. You can find me at Drizzly Bear TV on twitch.com. I also have a YouTube channel. You can find it. You'll find me. You'll like it. I promise. I'm so good and funny and charming and all that kind of stuff.
Right, get
but
this
no,
man
seriously,
off the mic right now. Come on, get rid of it.
I'd like to thank my parents. I'd like to thank the floor. No. Seriously, thanks to everyone for coming up to watch today. Thanks to Alex. Thanks to Jota. Thanks to Deployer. Thanks to our drivers. Congratulations to Marius, and we'll see you all next week. Take it easy. Catch you later.
I could flip all the time that I borrowed.